What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Show back with another video, man. I know you guys remember that little teaser we got for a possible Wolverine game made by the same people who made Spider-Man. Like, I know you remember that, but I want to talk about this real quick. Let me say, first of all, I think Wolverine specifically, a Wolverine game based with the same gameplay from like a Spider-Man game, but you know, obviously it would be different because he can't web swing, but the same type of gameplay structure, I would pre-order that no footage for sure. Like, okay, let's just look at it from an objective perspective. For me, I grew up watching like the old X-Men. Was it X-Men 98? Like the old X-Men animation with the cartoon. You had all the X-Men and stuff. I love the X-Men. Like, I generally do. I go see pretty much any of the movies that are out, even though they've not really been good. I liked a couple of them. Like, I liked Days of Future Past, and First Class was cool. You know, I honestly love all the movies, and it's sort of, it's bad, so I like it type of movie, or it's got characters I enjoy, so I like it type of movie. I mean, I feel like I've seen every movie that came out of like the universe with the X-Men or dealing with the X-Men. I mean, I've seen all the animated series, the Wolverine and X-Men, and the X-Men that was you know the one I'm talking about, the one that had Spike as a character. Yes, I've pretty much been up on every media representation of X-Men there is. Like I've seen the Wolverine movie, the solo movie. You know, I've seen Old Man Logan. I've seen all the X-Men movies. I'm so tied up in the lore. Here's my thing about the X-Men versus the Avengers, right? Now, obviously, Disney or whatever really can't push the X-Men. They can do it now because they own Fox. But originally, they really couldn't push the X-Men because X-Men was owned by Fox. So it's like, instead, they kind of pushed another superhero team. That superhero team was the Avengers. If I'm being truthfully honest, I've never really resonated with the Avengers like that. I feel like I like the characters, they're cool characters. I just feel like the X-Men dealt with a lot more things. Like, they dealt with discrimination, they dealt with the hard topics. You know, I love the idea of Xavier having a school for gifted mutant kids. It was basically like an anime where you would have this different mutant kid that have a different type of power and stuff, and everybody has their own different types of power. It's multiple X-Men, they work as a team, like an actual team. They fight just like the Avengers do, but for me it just felt more like a family that fights all the time, while the Avengers kind of felt like just a team that was kind of thrown together, that they fight each other a lot, you know, but they never really felt like close family to me. And I mean, it makes sense for Disney or whoever, you know, like Marvel in general, to kind of push the Avengers since how they lost the rights to, you know, all of those characters. Now, the only reason I bring this up in general is just simply to illustrate that X-Men as a whole, they're loved. They're very much loved. I think that's a reason why the Deadpool movie really went so good. Because the Deadpool movie had X-Men in it. You know, it had X-Men characters in it. It had Colossus. And the one other character I really can't name. It also
Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Also dealt with Cable. And, you know, Cable has a rich history with the X-Men faction. And man, I just generally love Deadpool, man. He became my favorite character after playing Ultimate Alliance, and he would always talk to the player, like to tell him, the player, to do certain stuff. He would always break the fourth wall, so he became my favorite character off of that. And eventually he got dropped into the mainstream, and it became great. Now, there was an X-Men game before. It was X-Men Origins. It was a Wolverine game. It was a fantastic game. I really liked it. It was a good game. Bad movie, terrible movie, but a really good game. Then he had all the X-Men games that were basically like the Ultimate Alliance games, but they dealt with actual mutant storylines and stuff, and that was really cool too. Even though Cyclops is the leader of the X-Men, obviously the face of the X-Men and like the brand and the franchise as a whole is Wolverine. Wolverine's the face of that franchise. Now I want to talk about the game. Now I want to get into the game. I want to talk about how I felt like this game could be done, what time, place it's going to take part in, you know, all of those types of things. I think personally it's gonna take place maybe after like his introduction to the X-Men, because I'm just assuming here this is gonna be a kind of a long video. We're gonna talk about some couple of theories I might have. Now obviously he doesn't have the bone claws, so it isn't like an origin story like Wolverine Origins was. So, you know, we can't really see his face, we can't see his age, we can see his build and his body. He's wearing his lumberjack shirt or whatever. So what I'm really wondering is, Insomniac making a Marvel universe, like an MCU for games, to me that would be absolutely fantastic. 3 good, well, two, well, technically 2, but 3 good games right now so far. 2 of them are made by Insomniac. I think Square Enix really nailed it when they played, when they made Guardians of the Galaxy. I really thought that game was amazing. I really thought that game was really, really good. They, you know, Avengers didn't really, you know, do its thing, but it died so these other 2 teams can live, basically. But yes, I do think it will deal with maybe X-Men. And this is what makes it so interesting, because if it is a Wolverine that is maybe detached from the X-Men, because he does leave a lot. You know, he does that a lot. A lot of Wolverine's stories kind of like looking up his past and fighting enemies like his brother Sabretooth, and just kind of fighting enemies from his past, trying to figure out what happened to him. And the reason why I bring this up is because if there is basically a MCU version of the games like Insomniac is trying to do, if they're really trying to do that, it can be so interesting, because we can see Miles Morales and Spider-Man inside of the Wolverine game, which would actually make a lot of sense considering that Wolverine has done a lot of different adventures with Spider-Man, even swapped bodies with him at some point. And before we talk about like the game, what the game's plot could be, which we kind of already did, let's talk about the rating. The rating is probably the most important thing about this game, simply because if you guys don't know, if you haven't seen any Wolverine comics, Wolverine anything, Wolverine is a very bloody and gory hero. Simply because he's using very sharp knives that come out of his hand, you know, come out of his knuckles. So, you know, it also would depend on whether we'll get that gore element, whether it'll be mature rating, you know, whether we'll get like stuff like dismemberment and, you know, cutting people's arms off and stuff. Because Wolverine is a very vicious superhero at times. But Insomniac is working on a lot of different games that may lead me down to the path that it might be M-rated and it might follow the correct procedure. I honestly hope so. I think the game will do well as a mature rating. I think it'll do well regardless. I honestly trust Insomniac wholeheartedly. I don't want to run into another CD Projekt Red thing, where Witcher was such an amazing game that their next game just kind of not flew under the radar, but basically people thought that their next game was going to be an absolute hit, and it came out a glitchy mess. So I don't really know, you know, I don't want to hype up anything too much at this point, but I think this Wolverine game is going to be one of the best games I've played in a while. It took me so long to actually get into Spider-Man to now actually have a whole different system. Even though Miles Morales was great and it felt different and playing with him felt fun and different, playing with a different superhero like entirely, as far as like he doesn't fly, he doesn't have web swingers or whatever, we may not know. We can get an X-Jet or something. That could be cool, like an actual X-Jet, and that's how he flies around. Like, we don't know what Insomniac has planned for us, but I know that this company is good at doing what they do. And I'm not gonna lie, if they want to create an extended Marvel game universe, I'm all here for it, man. Give me Thor, give me, you know, Captain America, give me some Black Panther, give me all these different types of games. I would love to see Avengers redone by Insomniac. I feel like they'll give it a justice. I definitely think they're gonna do it right. I definitely think they're gonna do a great job. I want to ask you guys now in the comments. I said comics. I meant the comments. How do you feel about this Wolverine thing? I know you feel amazed because it's nothing but good news. But how do you feel about him getting his game? Whether we'll see X-Men in it, because obviously I feel like he has the metal claws. It might be before, but I definitely think he'll link up with Spider-Man or, you know, Miles Morales at some point. And if he does link up with them, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be past X-Men age. You don't really see his face because I don't know if they know what they're gonna do with him yet, like how he's gonna look, but it was just a teaser. So it could possibly do nothing with him. They could do a lot with him. I think that they'll do right by him though, and I think it'll be a great success for sure. With that being said, guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Let me know how you feel about this potential Wolverine game, and what time period you think it's gonna take place. And I'll see you guys next video.